Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we're going to have a look at the racing tomorrow, go over who I like for each of the races. A lot of the bookmakers haven't priced up yet, but we can still talk about who I think is the most likely winner of a race, or who I think is going to run a really big race in their respective races. And we'll go through the whole card at Ascot, and this will be released to Premium and Pro members first, and then tomorrow... What's time's first race? 12:45, so probably 11:45ish, 11:30ish maybe. I'll release it to free members as well. So we'll start off with the first race at Ascot, the 2 mile 5 handicap hurdle, and the horse I like here, I'm quite keen on this one to be honest, is Rebel Intentions. His form I think is very strong, particularly recently. To be fair, he's been in decent form for a little while. You know, his last 4 runs. His last 4 runs have also shown progression. His R figures have got better each time. And, you know, that's all this season. So since coming back in August, he's been progressing. And I think his form is strong. His defeat of Edkeeper in a novice handicap hurdle, where he beat Edkeeper and Immortal, I think is very strong form. Edkeeper has come out and won a handicap at Newbury in good style. And Immortal was actually favourite for a handicap later on the card. I thought that was a good run from Rebel Intentions. You know, it was a really good defeat of Edkeeper and Immortal. He then came out... I'm saying he. Let me just check. Is it a he? Yes, Gelding. Then came out and ran at Ascot last time out over 3 miles. And maybe the trip was just slightly too far in the fact that he was up there. The drop back in trip is understandable. I mean, he won over 2 mile 3. He went up to 3 mile, just shy of 3 mile 1. And he was there. He led, ridden after 2 out, headed running, lost second late on. Now, he got beat that day by Scamalak Liath and Seafin. Now, Scamalak Liath was our top rated horse that day. And he had some good runs for Oliver Sherwood, including Behind the Imposter and Armchair Farmer. He came out top rated Scamalak Liath and won. And Seafin for Dan Skelton and Harry Skelton, he'd been doing okay. He'd come into the race off the back of 2 wins himself. So I think the form was strong. And Rebel Intentions just didn't stay that day. Was rated 102 on that day. He's now only rated 104. So I don't think the £2 extra again will be too much of an issue, considering I think the right horses were there in the finish. And he just got beat by... He just got beat by the distance, in my opinion. He was only beaten a length and a half. The drop back in trip will really suit. Back at Ascot, where he clearly runs well, that was not a bad run at all. And yeah, I was surprised to see him at the price he's currently being priced up at by William Hill. They've gone 17-2. I mean, if you can get anywhere near that, I think that's a great price, to be honest. I thought it'd be nearer down here. You know, third favourite sort of thing, if not shorter. So yeah, Rebel Intentions is the one I like in the first race at Ascot. We'll move on to the second race. Now, no bookmakers have priced this up yet. I mean, it's 2:15 and they're all still looking at each other like, you go first, because we don't actually price up races now. We just copy each other. But the horse who I think is going to take all the beating here, and I think he'll go off. He'll be odds on, won't he? Is Welcome to Cartrice. Now, Welcome to Cartrice went off... Did he go off favourite? 6-4 joint favourite last time out. Against the talented Beat the Bat. Now, Beat the Bat hadn't won before then, but had finished second to Masasio. That was good form. And then finished second to Dysart Enos. That's good form. Only beaten 2 3/4 lengths by Dysart Enos as well. Giving a penalty away as well. Was it giving a penalty? Let me just check. Given £7 away, but was that the mayor's allowance? Might have been. Yeah, I think that's really strong form. Welcome to Cartrice has got to be the short price favourite here, if not odds on. But he is the one to take, and if you want to put horses in doubles, or you're that type of bettor, then yeah, Welcome to Cartrice is one that could certainly feature in your multiples. As I said, no prizes yet available. We move on to the 155, the Novices Handicap Chase. And I think that's the key for this race for me, is that it's a handicap chase, not a novice chase, not a graded chase. It's a handicap chase. Now, on Public, is certainly in form, but I don't think his performances have been. I think he's been beating handicappers. You know, Geronimo, and then last time out was Petit Tonnerre. Now Petit Tonnerre is obviously being aimed at a handicap. They are, whilst it was a grade 2, Petit Tonnerre wasn't in that to win, and JPR1 was going to beat him quite comfortably. I don't think JPR1 come out and won either, did he? He got beat himself by Le Patron next time out. So it's not like the form was red hot. Persian Time definitely caught my eye when he was second. I thought both the Nicky Henderson horses needed the runs. However, they were both, handicappers, Russian Ruler and Persian Time. They're both good handicappers. Whereas I have a feeling that Authorised Speed will prove to be better than that. He might not be proved to be up to grade 1 class. But what we've got to remember is last season he won a maiden hurdle by 15 lengths on the bridle, beating Broadway Boy. Now I know that was over 2 mile 3, and Broadway Boy clearly needs further than that. He also beat Immortal in the race that Nicky Henderson had previously sent out Constitution Hill, so I think they really liked Immortal. They then came back to Sandown for the grade 1 Tolworth and went a 5-4 favourite for the Tolworth. It didn't work. He didn't run his race. He made a few mistakes and he just did not run his race. Trainer said that a post-race endoscopy revealed that the gelding had scoped dirty. So he scoped dirty in a grade 1. You can forgive him that run. He then came back out and won a novice's hurdle by 19 lengths. Really, really comfortably. And then they ran him at Aintree. They stepped him up in trip for the 2.5 mile novice. And if you actually watch the race, he came into it travelling really nicely. Didn't get home. But dropping back in trip, I think he'll prove to be above handicappers and above a 133 mark. I think he'll be, in the 140s at least. I think the fact that they're now running him, that they've given him plenty of time and they're only running him in December, kind of suggests to me that hopefully he's had a lot of schooling at home and now he's ready to run a big race. And I think he will take all the beating here. If they run to their best, all of them ran to their best performances, Authorised Speed, for me, would win this race. I think he's better than the other horses who are going to be good handicappers in time, but I think Authorised Speed could be a class above that. And they've currently priced Authorised Speed up at 3-1. If we see a lot of money for him, they're suggesting that he's ready to run. If he'd had the run, I think he'd be a short price favourite here. That's the only doubt about him. The other three have had a run. Authorised Speed has not. We move on to the 230, and unfortunately this is annoying for me. I think there are two really well handicapped horses in this race and they both run against each other. They are Immortal and Bad. As you know, I think Bad could have been aimed at something like the Imperial Cup and then potentially got in the county off a penalty. I think they could have squeaked that. They're not. They're going for this. It's only worth $8,000. I think they've given up. They're trying to get his handicap mark high enough to win a race, and I think they probably thought going to Ascot for a 2 mile handicap, they would find a very winnable race. Generally, this probably would have been, but Immortal really is tricky because I really like her. I think, saying her, it's not a her, it's a he. I really like him as well. I think his efforts behind Authorised Speed, Gavega and Rebel Intentions. Interestingly, if we get the first couple right in Rebel Intentions and Authorised Speed, or Immortal will go off odds on. But Bad is very, very well handicapped and progressing as well. I actually want to back them both, and I'm also going to stick them in a reverse forecast because I think both of those are very, very well handicapped. Jaguar for Oliver Greenhall may well be. The only thing you would say about the horse that horse got beat by in the Waterside didn't particularly frank that form when finishing 4th of 4 in the introductory hurdle at Ascot when sent off the 8-11 favourite. I think Jaguar, they might have the mark about right, whereas I'm confident that both Immortal and Bad are ahead of their handicap marks, whereas I'm not as confident Jaguar is. So yeah, I'm going to do both of those. I'll wait for a few other bookmakers to price up and then see what I can get about both of them. But 11-4, 100-30. If you backed them both, you're getting average of 3-1 the pair of them. So if you get a winner, you're plus 2 points. So Yeah, that's my way of looking at that race for me. And if you get the first and second, you get the reverse forecast. You know, you're loving it. Moving on to the 305. This race, I think, has a graded horse, 2 handicappers, and an unknown that you can't trust. The graded horse is Mai Tai. Look at his R figures. They're good. 144.2 has been beaten a couple of times by Unexpected Party. But then you've got a 145.6, a 151.7, a 146.4, 147.3, 144.8. They're all good figures. Can-Do Kid and DeGello are the handicappers. Yes, they're both improving and progressing. I think he's good enough to win this, and I think this trip is about right for him. I said last season 2.5 would have been his preferred trip if you stick to it at an early stage. They have now stuck to it. He got beat by a complete unknown who went off favourite for a Hennessy or a Ladbroke Trophy, whatever you call it. Coral Gold Cup, was it this year? Nothing wrong in being beaten by a complete unknown. And then last time out, obviously, he won a walkover. Did he win a walkover? No, Babali did run, but saddle slipped before the 8th, so they pulled him up. But yeah, he would have won that anyway. Might I, over this trip, over fences, I think will prove to be a grade 1 horse. And yet he's better priced than I thought he would be for this. Where is it? The 305. I thought he'd be the short price favourite, to be honest. I think he'll go off favourite. 5 to 4-ish favourite. If you can get anywhere around the 2 to 1 mark, I think it's a great bet, to be honest. And at 9 to 4, if you've got a William Hill account, yeah, I think he'll go off the short price favourite. And finally, the 340. This isn't a betting race for me, but I tell you what, make a note of the first 2 or 3 in this race. I think they are all going to be above average. These are really good R figures for some of these down here. Marvellous Mick, Let It Rain, Future Fortune. These are very good R figures. Captain Bellamy's, Dunskay, Horace's Pearl, and Brecon Castle. Brecon Castle? It's Scottish, isn't it, I think? Whichever of these wins the race is very, very good. Whoever finishes second is probably very good as well, and even third. So keep an eye on this race. It's definitely one to watch. And if you get a very impressive winner, they are going to be very, very good.